Well, today we've decided to issue a challenge to Sunrise viewers. This weekend, we'd like you to do a good deed for one of your neighbours. We're issuing the challenge because this Sunday, you might not know it, but it's called Get to Know Your Neighbour Day. It's a campaign we've supported for many years now, and it is the brainchild of Andrew Heslop. Morning to you. Thanks for joining us again.
Good morning. Thank you.
Now, your campaign's been running 5 years now.
Yeah.
Great idea. Just tell us about it.
It started 5 years ago when a woman in Melbourne was found dead in her home, and she'd been there 2 years, and the neighbours had watched the pile of junk mail build up around the front door, her letters, everything, newspapers, and they did nothing. And it wasn't until the Victoria Police eventually broke in, they discovered that she had passed away. But all of the utilities were still connected. The phone, the gas, the water, the power, all on.
And there were quite a few, there was a run of those, wasn't there, in Sydney and several other states, and it really made us aware, what should we be doing?
Well, even 2 weeks ago on the Gold Coast, a 60-year-old man was found in his home and he'd been there for 18 months. It's about breaking down barriers. It's about looking out for people who you know live alone in your street. It's about developing relationships with the people next door and across the street, just in case something bad happens, but just also in the spirit of being a good neighbour and encouraging people to deliver great suburbs and communities that we all want to live in.
So on Sunday, what are you suggesting people do exactly?
Knock on the front door and introduce yourself for the first time to people who you've never met before, or if you've already got great relationships with your neighbours, chuck a snag on the barbie, get them over for a cup of tea, come over for a beer, and just celebrate what it is that keeps your neighbourhood strong and your street a great place to live in.
Because they can be really simple things like putting the bin out for an elderly neighbour.
Right.
I know my husband used to do that for our next door neighbour.
It can be that. It can be checking the mail when they're away. It can be picking up the paper when they're not home. When I first started Neighbour Day, my 80-year-old next-door neighbour would wander up and down the street, putting people's bins out, fixing palings on the fence, mowing the nature strip, doing odd jobs around the community, because that's the sort of guy he was, and he was really part of the inspiration for setting up Neighbour Day.
And it's not just the elderly. Young kids go to the city, maybe move from regional areas or move out of home for the first time. You can help them too.
You can, because it's very disappointing that so many people are left on their own when they first move into a community. And there are going to be people who are watching us this morning who, for them, this program is probably the only link they have to the world outside. And that's, I think, really sad.
Because you can change that on Sunday, though.
You can certainly change that on Sunday, and it'd be great if those older people who are watching this morning suddenly got a visitor on Sunday and said g'day.
OK, well, here's your chance. Andrew, thank you very much. I know we've been following it for a few years, so it's great we're involved again.
Sunrise.
Thank you, Andrew Heslop, for joining us. And if you want to take up the challenge and do a good deed for a neighbour, head to our soapbox and tell us about it. We're going to be reading them out on Monday.